When you look at budgets, $750 for a gaming PC is basically like the perfect budget to get a ton of performance without making any massive sacrifices. Today, we're taking a look at the absolute best PC you can build with new parts for just 750 bucks. Let's do this. What's going on, guys? I'm Brian, and today we are going to get you started on the path to building yourself a monster of a $750 PC. Per usual, this video is not intended to show you guys how to build a PC, but rather to show you which parts you should get and the performance you should expect from it. If you are searching for a how to build a PC guide, check out the cards up there. I think it's this one over here, or the description box below for my video series on that. Now, for today, we will be specifically targeting 3 different things. The first is going to be going over each component in the build and a quick explanation of why I chose each part for this budget. The second is going to be going over the actual PC's gaming performance. I think it's 6 games picked out, and I tested them all on like high/max settings. And then the last is going to be my final thoughts on this PC and who I really think should be getting this PC, and then as well, why should that person be getting this PC. All right, so starting off with the CPU, we have the Ryzen 5 1600AF. For those of you who aren't familiar with this guy, it's basically a 2600 in disguise, and it comes in at just $85 US. It has 6 cores, 12 threads, and it's really perfect, basically perfect for most builds up to about $1,000. Keep in mind that this does sell out quite often, but it's also restocked rather quickly. When it goes out of stock, the price will jump from like 85 bucks to about 115. I'm telling you right now, do not buy it at that point in time. Wait until it's $85. Wait a week or two, it'll be back down to 85. I've seen it happen multiple times already. The motherboard I chose for this build is basically my favorite board out there right now. It's the MSI B450 Tomahawk Max. And it's like the perfect board for a build just like this, and it'll give you the option of upgrading your system down the line. No problem, no hassle, no issues whatsoever. It also will allow you to overclock any of the current AM4 chips with solid results. I've overclocked my 3700X, even though I don't really overclock much, and I've had no issues overclocking on that board. Moving forward, I use PC Part Picker's parametric filter to select a 3000 to 3600 speed 16 gigabyte memory kit for the actual parts list. As I always say, make sure you read reviews. I've tested tons of memory kits out there, and I've had very, very, very little issues. But you never know when the filter is just going to, suggest a really bad kit. So read the reviews, make sure the kit's okay, and more than likely it's going to be fine. Just again, read the reviews. For storage, we have a budget of around $90. You can go out there and choose what you want for this. But for this parts list, what I chose was a 240 gig SSD and then a 2 terabyte hard drive. This will be perfect for most people, and you honestly will be able to fit a ton of games on the 2 terabyte hard drive, and then you'll be able to fit your OS and then maybe some of your favorite games on the 240 gig SSD. If you really want to, you can get a 1 terabyte SSD instead. It should be able to find one around that like that $90 range. The graphics card I chose for this build might be my favorite GPU right now. It's not the best, but it's probably my favorite right now, and it's the GTX 1660 Super. The list will just select whichever variant is cheapest at the time that you are searching, but I personally just love this chip. It's affordable, and it gives you crazy, crazy good performance at 1080p, which is the resolution that most of us are going to be gaming at, and most of us do game at. And for the price, again, like I said, it's awesome. The case we went with is the case I always typically go with in these videos, and that is the vontech P300A. And everyone on planet Earth probably know I absolutely love this case by now, but it's just because it's such a great value. And of course, you can always swap it out if you don't like it or if you want something different. I would just say for this kind of build, and for my parts list, I stuck it around 50 bucks. As long as you swap it out for something around 50 bucks, you'll be fine. I also want to know is I wouldn't be buying this case over 50 bucks either, because I've seen the price of this case drop down to 50 bucks at least a handful of times since it's been released. And then I've also seen it jacked up to about 70 bucks. So like the 1600 AF, if you're going to get this particular case, make sure you're waiting until it's like 50 to 60 bucks, because that's the price you should be buying it for. And now the last main component I chose was the EVGA BQ 600 watts 80 plus bronze semi-modular power supply. It's an awesome unit, and 600 watts is going to be more than enough for this build and for upgrades down the line. The problem with power supplies in general right now is that it's really hard to find a good one for a decent price, especially if you're looking at like a semi-modular or a fully modular one. But as I've said in previous videos, this is not something you're going to want to cheap out on. All right, so before we move on, I actually added an optional component as well. This is a 3-pack of RGB fans. These ones in particular are the ones that Bitwit did. He did like a great video on them, testing them out. And his video kind of convinced me to test them out myself, and I did. And they are really honestly solid fans for the money, just like he said in his video. Jay's 2 Cents also did a video. You can check out the fans that he's recommended. They're really good. I mean, there's a lot of different options for RGB, and they're going to give you better airflow for your system, and then some RGB bling if that's something that you want as well. If you don't care about the RGB, grab at least one fan for the front intake. Your PC will thank you later. Okay, so now on to the good stuff. What kind of performance will you get from this build? Well, check out for yourself. So as you can see, this is a pretty killer 1080p high/max settings build, and you should be getting between 70 and 100 FPS in most modern titles with everything cranked up. But keep in mind that you can always turn a few settings down as well to boost your FPS even more if you're shooting for that sweet 144 FPS target, or you're playing a more demanding game that is kind of like dragging your FPS down. I like to use Fortnite's shadow setting as my example when I kind of talk about settings that will drag your performance down. And this is because when you are on the Epic preset, the shadows, if you have shadows like still at Epic, it will absolutely kill your frames. And in this build, particularly this build, the 1660 Super averages about 82 FPS non-overclock. So if you don't overclock it, it's about 82. I think it's about 100 if you do overclock it on the epic preset. But if you turn the shadows to the medium setting, while everything else is on the epic preset settings, your FPS jumps up to about 140. That's over a 70% gain in FPS just by turning down shadows. So keep that in mind when you're playing games. There are always going to be settings that you can kind of tweak down a little bit that won't really impact the actual look of your game, but they will help performance dramatically. Okay, so who is this build for? Why should you pick up this build over that $500 build video I did a few weeks ago? Well, if you watched my $500 build video, you will know it's a great budget option, but you will have to make some sacrifices. This build, on the other hand, will improve your performance, and it really kind of removes the major sacrifices in that build, such as like storage, completely. This build is for someone who wants 1080p high/max settings over 70 FPS, and they certainly want to get into streaming or video editing. I think this is a great build for those who want to begin their content creation careers and those who want a hassle-free upgrade path, so they can upgrade their system as their needs expand. If you found this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more tech content just like this. Also, check out my latest videos that should be popping up right here. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.